The market waits for no one. So we'll go ahead and jump in. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Wake and Jake. It's been a hectic week, man. It was we were ripping and roaring all last week, and then Bitcoin got above 69. Thought about testing 70, but to no avail. We got pushed back down. Hopefully, our show can do the usual reversal bounce here. We'll cross our fingers, but not hold our breath. But we do want to talk through some things, some exciting stuff going on this week. And as always, I'm joined here by my co-host and our fearless leader, JakeandBake. Help walk us through it. So, how are you doing today, brother?
Yeah, man, we're doing well. A lot of action over the weekend, which was fun. Especially for me, I'm glad it's like I was busy like it feels like last couple months. Every weekend I had something, but finally had a chill weekend, and it worked out well timing wise with ApeChain launching on Saturday, and we'll definitely get into that in a little bit after we cover macro stuff. But yeah, I mean, as far as market goes, still feeling great. I mentioned last week that I was real bullish. Now I can't remember exactly what I said, but something along the lines of I think we're fully back now. And I'm still feeling that way despite a little bit of red in the market today, this morning. However, the weekend we had a nice little pump. Finally got back up to a very nice 69K. Have dumped a little bit since there. That's kind of where resistance lies right now, and I'll share a little bit more charts with you guys here. Again, not a macro expert. I just follow people who I think are. Also, none of this is financial advice. I always forget to make that disclaimer, but very important. None of this is financial advice, just opinions and analysis. Here's Don Alt. Mention him all the time. My favorite one to follow. Here's an update on his Bitcoin chart. This is from 4 days ago, so a little bit outdated. But regardless, kind of gives you a good idea since it's more higher time frame anyway. Right now, he had the resistance at 68K. I think this is like the daily. We did close above that yesterday. Have since fallen back down. I think once we reclaim that, then we have some pretty nice room up to another. I think the final resistance is going to be all-time high, which makes sense. That 72, 73, 74K area. And then breaking that, it's going to be pretty clear skies ahead for us. As I think it just makes sense. It makes sense too if you think about the attention that will then be on Bitcoin as well if we were to break all-time highs or at least even get back to it. I think it just makes every headline. Like crypto is back, Bitcoin is back to all-time highs again. People are back home now, after touching grass all summer. It's just gonna be all overall headlines, and then people start to get FOMO from the normies. It's been, enough. It's been a good amount of time finally since FTX stuff blowing over a bit since previous bull since from the bear. Like I feel like there's been enough time for like the time capitulation to run its course enough, in my opinion, that we can finally start getting going again. JD, you have a hot mic, by the way. That's feeling great, I'd say, on the Bitcoin side of things. Same thing from Web3 Quant. He's as bullish as ever. Says thinks we are, likely to see explosive moves to the upside before the end of the year. Everything's looking good so far. Quick update just on where we're at on the week. Bitcoin's up 1.7% right now. That's even after the nuke that we saw this morning. I don't know about nuke, but dip that we saw this morning. We're still up on the week. ETH is up 2.1%. So ETH continuing to show a little bit of strength here. I think that's 2 weeks in a row the ETH has outperformed. And then Solana leading the way here of the big three at 6.2% up on the week. Solana continues to be kind of the cycle favorite, which makes a lot of sense when you kind of talk about mindshare of Solana. Just users use case. I mean, I'm using Solana more than I've been using ETH this cycle so far. So understandable there. I'd say one more thing on the ETH front. I'd say Don is still pretty bullish ETH as well. Here's another chart on the ETH side of things, where we're basically at pretty key resistance here with ETH, like really close. He has this line at 2,720. It looks like. Again, this is on higher time frame, so it's not like if you just break that specific number, then it's just going to go crazy. It's more so, break that and stay above that for a little bit. A couple of days, then it'll start looking really good. With all this high time frame stuff, I think that's important to remember. Like when it's showing exact numbers, that doesn't mean once it gets above that number or once it gets below that number, it's either going to break down or like crazy, or it's going to instantly go up like crazy. It's more so like once it gets above that number and stays above that number on higher, if it's higher time from like a day, then for like a day or two, then it looks really, really good. Just for context. And here, this is essentially showing above about 2,720, 2,750 or so. We stay above that. Then it's very clear skies for us to go pretty vertical on ETH up to like 3,300, 3,350 area. So that's really bullish on ETH. We might have an ETH season here. At least for a little bit. God knows we've certainly needed it, I'd say, for any ETH holders out there. Genuine ETH ecosystem, which has been lagging like crazy this entire cycle. So we might be close to actually seeing some strength here from ETH. And even then, like we still might have just more strength from Sol. As the Sol ETH chart continues to look really good as well. I don't have it right in front of me to post. But yeah, it seems I would just say things are looking pretty good on the macro side of things. I'll stop there for any comments, feedback, whatever.
Sweet. Yeah. Appreciate that was a lot of information. Yeah. Appreciate all the angles. I agree with the sentiment. People back from touching grass. It's a really good call. Also agree with your capitulation theory. It's just as a member of Team Capitulation, I can definitely give you some anecdotal evidence there, or, extra piece of info. Yeah, feels like it's been long enough. You know what I mean? Especially, like you said, on the ETH front, just lagging behind and not feeling like we're invited to the party. So, yeah, exciting stuff. And then I did want to just bring up, Dizzy had a comment that made me chuckle the other day when Bitcoin was cracking 69K. He said, 69th times the charm. And I love that just because it feels about right. So hopefully, yeah, we'll keep knocking on that door. Hopefully we can break through it and then clear skies ahead. But it's going to take some work to get there.
Jake, I know a couple of weeks ago you brought up the Silk Road Bitcoin and potentially the government selling that. Do you have any update on that, or do you know like if they've cleared through that stash?
No, I don't. I have not seen anything on that, so I'm not sure what the latest is.
What about Satoshi, man? Now that he's been discovered, is he moving his old coins? Is he dumping his bags? Nothing there?
I don't think so. I haven't seen anything. I feel like we would have saw.
Whew, all right, close call.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to bring up based on, kind of in lines with the topic of normies, people kind of starting to gain, look at crypto once again, it gaining more attention is, I think it's looking pretty good for Dogecoin right now. There's a lot of strength going on. The Dogecoin, if you look at the charts, it's kind of leading the way. I wouldn't say leading the way, but it's at least showing a lot of strength. It kind of recently broke out from its downtrend, and it's been relatively up only since then. I think since I don't know, like 10 cents or so, around that area. Let's see. Yeah, 10 or 11 cents. And I think just the thesis around it makes a lot of sense. Both Don and Web3 Quant have been talking about it. Don especially has been really bullish on Dogecoin. He's been posting about it a ton. Here's kind of his most recent, or at least one of his thoughts around it, just saying he thinks that it can run up to as much as $1, which would be quite the increase from here. I think it'd be like a 7, or I don't even know. I can do the math right now in my head. 7 or 8x from here. Essentially, I mean, it makes a ton of sense based on just like conceptually, like every time. If you kind of look back, like and think back, every time crypto has started to gain like mainstream interest again, um, the Dogecoin has pumped in the past. Like you could kind of see, you could see that happen early, like when Bitcoin first made a new all-time high, 72K. I think that was like in March or whatever. We saw some nice strength from Dogecoin. And I think we can definitely start to see it again. It just, if you like talk to any person like in the normal world and ask them about crypto, like I think, and ask them like what crypto coins they know, like they would probably say Bitcoin obviously is number one, and then Dogecoin I would think would probably be number two as the most popular coins. And if they're like, oh, I need to get back into crypto, what are they going to buy? Are they going to buy the one that costs 70,000, or are they going to buy the one that costs 14 cents? And I think unit bias is something that if you're trading normally in crypto, like you don't really think a ton about, because a lot of us go by market cap, especially in like the shitcoin world of coins, but normies really don't. I mean, normies and people who are getting in, like unit bias is a huge thing. And if they know about Dogecoin, and if they know about crypto and they saw Dogecoin pump, last bull market, then I can certainly see them kind of getting back in on Dogecoin again, because that's the one that they know about. And it's only 14 cents, right? I mean, even my buddies who have been trading a bit during this most recent run, and were pretty into crypto last cycle, they still are referencing coins by price, and I have to almost condition them to go by market cap instead. So I think us in the crypto world can probably underestimate how important unit bias is to kind of the normal non-crypto native person. So I think that certainly helps Dogecoin quite a bit. So yeah, I'm personally decently bullish on it. I just think the play itself makes a good amount of sense.
Yeah, fully 100% agree with. I hadn't heard it called unit bias before. It just makes it sound so professional and official. But yeah, 100% agree with the small price. Yeah, they love small price just because you can buy more of it. You'd rather see 50,000 tokens in your wallet rather than 0.2. So yeah, totally with you. Unit bias. Damn, you showed up in a suit this morning, bro.
Got to put on for the people.
You love to see it.
Got to get serious.
Absolutely. Man, I wouldn't be shocked if Elon starts kicking around the Doge pump train, man. He gets in on it every cycle. He's probably just got generational bags of it. He's gonna, pretend some sort of X integration or something. I don't know what he's got up his sleeve, but the man always gets really into it during the bull.
Yeah, that was the. Thanks for bringing that up, because that was another point I was going to make on it. Is I think it also helps that Elon has been obviously a big Trump supporter, and right now Trump is certainly the favorite to win the election, and that's less than a month away here, and it's and they're even talking about giving him a Department of Government Efficiency job or whatever, which literally stands for Doge. In the acronym. So I mean, even that, I could see just that kind of series of events playing out and helping out the coin as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. From past cycles, there's no one that can pump or dump a ticker better than Daddy Elon. So yeah, totally with you there. I feel like I saw a news blurb about Tesla moving their Bitcoin, and they've got a big old bag. Did you happen to catch that by any chance? Wasn't sure how it resolved or if it resolved yet, but I saw that they were moving their coins for the first time since they had bought in like 2022.
Yeah. I saw something about that too, but I didn't see if they actually sold or if they're just moving them to a different wallet or what happened. I didn't really look too much into it.
Gotcha. Yeah, just quick Google, just so I don't sound like an idiot. Yeah, 765 million moved to an unknown wallet. So yeah, that looks like they could have just moved it around. Hopefully not to an exchange, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, sweet. If no one has anyone else on Mac or Dogecoin stuff, we can get into ApeChain a bit. Fun little
shit.
escapade over
the
yeah. Over the weekend. Yeah, I mean, thankfully, a lot of us did pretty well here in MVHQ from the Ape Chain stuff. We were on it pretty early for those who were logged in on a Saturday, and not with our families and friends, but in the trenches. But yeah, just a quick kind of recap and why I think it went well for us. Just as I don't know if I'm like crazy bullish on ApeChain like long term, but I do want to kind of rehash why I was really bullish on it right away when I first saw it launch, and kind of thought process in case it helps anyone. Thankfully, was able to have a real nice win from it. Still have pretty good bags over there, but yeah, just kind of want to go through like thought process and thesis around it, and why I thought it made a lot of sense at the time as a play. So I think what made it special, especially, was that it was a surprise launch. Obviously, people knew that ApeChain was coming, but they didn't announce when it was coming. And similar to how Bored Apes did stuff in the past, they kind of just said like, "Fuck it, we're launching ApeChain today." All of a sudden on a Saturday, and I don't think people were ready for that. Again, and also I just want to contrast this with like, I feel like I've seen people talk about how this was like Blast or whatever, and I think it was very different than the Blast launch, and why I think it worked more as a play than what the Blast launch was. One, the fact that it was a surprise launch, as I just said, people weren't ready. People weren't like waiting at their computers to ape, which means that you had more time than normal to like assess what's going on and get in early once we heard about it. Also, it really helped that it launched on a Saturday, which Saturday is always the lowest volume day of the week by far, just because people are touching grass. It's the weekend, they're doing stuff with family, yada yada. Market's not open, traditional markets aren't open, so that just gives you even more time to gave us even more time to get in early on stuff. Like prices really didn't appreciate until like hours after, for the most part, or at least didn't go crazy until like hours after we had first heard about the launch. And I think it helped a lot that there was proper infrastructure set up like right away. They had, I mean, outside of the bridging experience, which was not good, but they had a reputable DEX in Camelot, who I'm pretty sure is like a really popular Arbitrum DEX. I think they have supported a couple other chains too, but they're definitely legitimate DEX that's been around for a while. They also had a pump fund clone set up right away, which helped a ton with the meme coin activity. For that to be up, so you could have coins that were at least relatively safe. There were still scams where people bundled launches and bought a bunch right away, but at least they couldn't pull the liquidity. If you were smart enough, you could look at obviously like the ape scan and see that people held like a fuck ton. So just don't buy that coin. So there's at least like a decent clone up there of Pump Fund to ensure relatively safe launches. that you could buy, and also Dex Screener was ready to go too, so you could track the coins that had graduated from that pump fund clone. It was right away supported, so you could track volume, and look at charts and all that. So I thought that in itself, and that was already like right away. That in itself made the experience better. And then I think something that was pretty huge was they acknowledged they didn't. Well, sorry, they didn't just acknowledge that. Yeah, there were meme coins on their chain, but they were like actively endorsing the meme coins on the chain. Both, and by they I mean ApeCoin, like Twitter itself, as well as like the founders of Bored Apes, like Gordon and Garga. Like ApeCoin account, like individually, like tweeted out to different tickers, like Curtis and Dookie, and Gordon said he like loved all the shitcoin chains, and they had big influencers like OGD Farmer and some other apes tweeting, bull posting a ton about it. So I thought, especially then when ApeCoin mentioned the tickers themselves, that was kind of like an inflection point for me, where I was like, all right, I need to go harder on this. If they're actively endorsing these coins, and the coins were still like at $1 million, I think they were actually less than $1 million market cap at the time that they mentioned them. It's like, okay, that's kind of a green light that memes will probably do decent, at least early on in the cycle for this chain. So might as well get over there. Whereas they've kind of fizzled out on a lot of chains on first launches, where the chain itself, or like L2, where the chain itself like doesn't even like recognize that there is meme coins there. The chain itself like isn't really for that. They kind of are like focused on something else. But when the chain like blatantly is like, yeah, whatever, we got meme coins, and they're talking about how they should go higher and stuff like that. Like I think that was a pretty big green light for me. That helped me feel better about bridging more over. And the coins themselves were really low market caps at the time. If you look at comparison to coins on other chains, they were, I mean, when we first were talking about them, they were all like under $1 million. But even then, it still took a while. Like I remember people coming in like, oh, like I feel like I'm late now, and they like saw like a few hours after we were talking about it on Saturday, and like Curtis, the main coin, was still under like 5 million. It's like, no, you're not late. If you look at other stuff, there's coins that are like hundreds of millions of market cap on other chains. So yeah, I think all those things. Sorry, one more thing. I'm like running out of breath. But I want to get all the points out, because I think it's important to kind of analyze each situation individually, and like why it's so different. Especially on this one, like versus Blast versus ApeChain. Like Blast didn't really have an established culture. I mean, yeah, they had Blur stuff, but there's not like a huge like moat around like Blur and Blast, especially because they like started their own product. They didn't do like Blur chain, they did Blast chain. I think the fact that Apes had an established culture for years, and they've had in-person events, they have like a lot of community growing activities for years now, and they've had a huge run up to $1 million and huge popularity mainstream wise. Like I think that gives a really nice moat of core users right away for the chain that you can kind of feel good about. You can kind of feel good about getting in early on the stuff, and know that everything's not just going to go to zero, because they've had this kind of moat of core users that'll support the chain's endeavors, right? And obviously the big factor that these holders held a JPEG of a monkey from like $200 to $1 million. So like, what are they going to do with the meme coins? They'll probably backhold some of those too. So yeah, I'm going to stop there because I need to take a drink. But I thought all that was kind of like the check boxes that I was going through in my head of why I thought this was a really good play.
Wow. Yeah, that was a big info dump, man. Yeah, appreciate it. Definitely take your time, get some water, get your breath. I'm taking notes over here. I totally missed it. I had no idea. I'm assuming this probably took place in the shitcoin chat potentially. I was just gonna ask, where where we can go read up, where we can see these tickers, stuff like that. But definitely take your time there. That was a lot. But curious to kind of
Yeah.
just go see what I missed.
Yeah. They're all shitcoins, so they're taking place in shitcoin chat. I mean, I guess I just have to keep preaching it. I have been constantly, but shitcoins I think are leading the way in this cycle, and the place to be is the shitcoin chat in MVHQ. I think a lot of us are having some nice wins over there, and I think it'll certainly continue as we get the uptrend going.
Sweet. Yeah, thanks for that. I have to go scrolling.
Aslo says, "What is your feeling about ApeChain memes now? Curse and others, given that Bitcoin rejected 70K as of yesterday, this AM." Um, yeah, I would say I don't really think about it as like too much in regards to like what Bitcoin is doing. If I'm bullet, like I'm still like I'm not. I don't really care about short term price action on Bitcoin as it relates to like um, a new ecosystem. I don't think those are too correlated, in my opinion. If I thought Bitcoin was going in a downtrend for like medium term, then I would be a little bit more worried. But I don't feel that way. But yeah, I was going to touch on that too. Kind of like what's next for ApeChain. I'd say right now I still feel decently good about it. It's certainly like a worse spot than what it was over the weekend. As prices have gone up, and the initial attention isn't really on it. In, I guess we're kind of like in a wait and see type thing. But I think things that you can look at, to analyze and make a decision if you want to get into it, are I think you can track certain metrics, like you can track volume on the coins, especially top established coins. You can go on Dex Screener and you can like sort by ApeChain, and you can here I'll link it real quick. You can go here, Dex Screener, sort by ApeChain, and look at all the coins, and then you can like click on the volume and see the highest volume, and then you can sort by last 24 hours or last hour or last 5 minutes or whatever, and I guess kind of get a sense of if those numbers are increasing, decreasing over time, what have you. And then also I think it's important to pay attention to like volume on the main coins, because the volume can be a little bit skewed. There are scams, there are like fake volume coins that I've seen over the weekend where there's like manufactured volume so people, it's like for like honeypots and stuff. So people like buy because they see the volume, and then they get rugged or whatever. So certainly be careful with the coins that you're buying because there have been scams on here. I think, look for high transaction count, look for like a chart that looks normal and not weird. And also if you just don't know, then ask shitcoin chat. You can ping me if I'm around. Like it's like usually pretty easy to tell since I've seen so many coins. If something is a scam or not. What else? Yeah, you can also look at net flows like on the chain. I think that's really important. Let me see here. I think I had a tool that track net flows. I'm not sure if they track ApeChain right now. Yeah, this Artemis.xyz/flows. I really like this as a tool. I kind of have this bookmarked for myself, but it kind of gives you net flows of all the different chains. I don't see ApeChain on here right now. JD or Hot Mic. But yeah, I think that's certainly important. What I mean by net flows is basically how much is bridged into the chain versus how much is bridged out of the chain, and if there's like a constant increase of there's constantly like more being bridged in than bridged out. That means there's obviously more money coming on the chain, which means more money going towards, purchasing memes or whatever and whatnot. So I think that's a really important metric to look at. And then also you can look at like social media activity, like how many people are posting about it. Like if there's anyone influential who's, bull posting about different coins or just the chain in general, how much engagement it's getting, things of that nature. See if that's dying off or not. And personally, I would say like probably a pretty easy one that I'm like kind of looking at is the main coin is called Curtis right now, and I think if for there to be like sustained activity for plays over on ApeChain, like there needs to be like a main runner. Usually that's kind of how it works for people to feel confident in like gambling on other stuff, and also for them to like want to FOMO a bit and chase other plays. Like there usually needs to be a main runner on the chain. So I think that's Curtis right now. It's got the highest market cap that isn't manipulated. There's a coin called Board, but like the dev owns 93% of the supply, so that's like heavily manipulated. So I wouldn't really count that one. But I would probably look for this to like get back to all-time highs, which is like 28 million right now, or even just like above 20 million. I'd start to feel a lot more confident about activity returning to the chain. But right now it's kind of like wait and see for me.
Hell yeah, man. That was an extensive catch up. Appreciate that. It's good info.
For sure. Yeah. Anyone have any cooks on ApeChain? Thoughts about ApeChain stuff? I know there were a good amount of us on it over the weekend.
I wanted to give you your flowers, Jake. Appreciated the shout on Curtis early. I bridged over with your help and Van Squeebs and made a couple grand, so appreciate that. And also wanted to shout out, I think just ApeCoin in general is a decent play. Like you're saying with like, Curtis leading the pack, and I'm sure there's some new cooks to be had, but Van Squeeb posted a pretty good thread earlier today about how only 2% of the ape supply is bridged over. And I've just noticed watching coins or chains that, launch shit coins, there's a pretty solid pattern of just price of the underlying asset rising over time. Like we saw that with Solana. As meme coins caught on, more people bought Solana and bridged over, and that caused the price to go higher. So if you're someone who doesn't have as much success with shit coins or it moves too fast for you, I think just buying Ape here is like pretty decent exposure. So just wanted to shout that out. But thanks for the call, homie. We cooking.
No problem. My pleasure. I know there's a lot of us that were on it early. It wasn't just me, but yeah. I'm glad that MVHQ did really well. We got in early on it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was waiting for the Sui pump fund to launch. It's still not live. And then ApeChain does a surprise launch and has their own clone ready day one. That's funny, man.
Yeah. Sui has one too. And I know we were talking about that a couple weeks ago. They finally launched theirs. I haven't really looked into it because of the ApeChain stuff. I was focused on that. But maybe there's some runners over there on Sui. I'm not sure.
Yeah, still not live. I mean, it's just a wallet submit at this point. They're calling that phase
Oh,
one.
it's not?
Submit your wallets. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they still haven't even got up and running yet. And then meanwhile, ApeChain just out of left field. It's like you're looking right, and you should have juked left because ApeChain just launched and it was ready and there's cooks. So GG's, well played.
I'm not sure if it was mentioned, but it was only about 2 or 3% of the Ape coin supply that's even bridged so far. So yeah, I mean, people just haven't done it yet, either because they're in Lisbon or in general, they just weren't active all weekend or whatever it might be. A lot of apes are not active. Like if you notice, even Tropo Farmer, I hadn't seen this guy even on Twitter for months, and all of a sudden ApeChain launches and there he is. He's in our shitcoin chat trying to figure out what's going on. So I think it's going to take some time, but it might have a chance to perform in the coming days or weeks. Who knows? We just got to keep an eye on it at this point.
I agree. I think just by the nature of like who are a lot of the apes, and a lot of the apes are whales, but I feel like they're a lot more like not super entrenched in like crypto, especially like since the bull happened and like people kind of checked out a bit. I think it might be a bit of a slower like acclimation process for people who are like big Bored Ape fans, but they're maybe not like, they have like more like TradFi type jobs, and they're not like watching crypto 24/7, and maybe they see, oh, it's ApeChain, I should get involved.
Yeah, that's
Like
it.
maybe
So
it takes them a couple days.
exactly, and if it does evolve, if it does get to a positive state, let's say, the way I see it going is exactly that. Excuse me. Those people start coming in, and since it's our native chain, like the apes or whatever, we play on it a little bit, and then if cooks start happening there, that's when everybody else that's doubting it on and that is playing on Sol or on other chains, when the money starts really moving, and you see, like, let's say if it happens that Curtis gets to 100 million or 50 million, and people start printing, then we're going to see an inflow into the chain of all the flippers that want to come and make some money, and I think that might take a while. But the moves have to be in the right direction for that to happen. We've seen it with every chain. We've seen it with Bitcoin. When that does well, everybody starts rushing in and the chain becomes a mess. We saw it with Sol shitcoins and Pump Fund. I mean, it's just a lot of the Twitter people are people are more reactionary. So when they see people are cooking, that's when they'll kind of transition. Even these influencers we all follow and all these channels we follow for solo shitcoins or whatever, they're cooking on AI coins. They're cooking on a bunch of other stuff. So they're not even batting an eye at ApeChain, but I guarantee they're at least keeping, like, they're keeping a close eye on it to see if it starts moving in the direction they like. But I think first we need a little bit of like boost from apes and people that are devout to the ape coin, and then after that maybe it'll bring in the rest of the people.
Yeah. My thoughts are, I'm still pretty much bag holding like everything that I bought over there, because I'm optimistic that we go higher from here. Just the market caps and of all like the main coins, they're just so low in my opinion compared to like what I've seen from a lot of the other new like chain launches and like early coins on them. Plus the fact that they're actively endorsing like meme coins on the chain and stuff. I just feel like there's still some room for the upside, but obviously it's a little harder place, even though I think they're low. It's not as low as what it was when it first launched on Saturday. So I don't think the risk return is the same as it was then. But I think personally, I haven't really sold anything, so I'm still feeling good about where we are. And I think it's, if you want to be more conservative, I think you can kind of wait and see how Curtis does, especially. I think is a really good metric. If it starts pumping again, then I think there will be renewed interest in general on the coins on the chain. I see a couple questions in chat here from our guy Mitch. He says, "What do you look for in tokens? I would love to hear your thought process upon entry." I think it depends, certainly, because there can be a lot of different types of tokens that run. But I guess like popularity is one thing. Like whatever the meme is or whatever, like, is it popular? Does it seem like people like it? Does it make sense? Especially if we're talking about like specifically for memes on like a side chain or whatever, like, does it make sense in like terms of like the theme of the chain? Like ApeChain, like obviously you're going to want like Bored Ape type memes. So like stuff like Curtis, which Curtis is the name of like their like main character or whatever in the Bored Ape ecosystem. So it makes a ton of sense that like a coin named Curtis would do well, because that's like a part of the lore. It's part of like the process. And like other coins that do well are like Dookie, right? Because they talk about Dookie Dash, and like there's a coin called Gary, which is like some dog in the ecosystem, right? So as long as it's like stuff that's like on brand for whatever chain you're buying on, or if like it's on Sol, which is more general chain, it would be stuff like that's like more like mainstream popular. Like a lot of like TikTok stuff does well, like popular memes on TikTok. If someone makes a coin for it there, it can do decent. So stuff that people find funny, and then also just like from a more technical standpoint, like holder distribution, like if it looks like it's not like a scam. Obviously, if it looks like there's not like a super heavy concentration in like the same wallets or like related wallets, if there's like a wider distribution of holders, if it's getting like decent volume, I think stuff like that is important. And if there's getting a decent amount of like engagement on socials as well.
You look at like the unlock and like how many tokens are in circulation and owned. Like you mentioned, there's a like Curtis had what 93% held by the dev or something like that.
Board.
That was a different coin. That was board.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, but you are looking at that metric as well.
Yeah. As far as like meme coins, like they're pretty much all 100% in circulation. The tokens are.
See.
So that's not really something you have to worry about. That's more like traditional like VC coins. That metric comes into play. But for meme coin stuff, like they're pretty much always gonna have everything in circulation.
Got it.
Yeah.
How?
I think it all. Sorry, go ahead, Mitch.
But just a quick question there. How much does the dev usually hold?
Sometimes it's obvious, and sometimes they obscure it. A lot of times they do by like buying on like a fresh wallet right away at launch. So it's kind of hard to know
Okay.
exactly how much they hold. The tooling's getting a little bit better at telling us, but I think like a red flag would be like 5 to 10% or more. That would be like a red flag for me, unless it's like a dev that like people know, like, and that's like doxed, and like they think that the dev won't like nuke everything.
Okay.
That'd be like the only
Like
really exception.
Almost like a score on that wallet that created. See if they've like created more successful tokens in the past.
Yeah, like some tools will tell you like if a dev transferred it to a different wallet, like their supply, it'll like show it as a dev wallet as well. Or like there's a good tool now on this Telegram bot that like shows all the fresh wallets made, like basically wallets made within the last 24 hours, and how much supply they hold, and like where like what wallet funded those dev wallets. So like if it's the same wallet that funded all like 10 wallets, and all 10 wallets like bought like 2% of the supply, then it would essentially mean that like 10 times 2, you're then like 20% of the supply. Yeah.
Ah, cool.
What so stuff like that?
Telegram
definitely more advanced.
Which bot is that, bro?
It's called Mugetsu. You do have to pay 1 SOL a month for it though, which is unfortunate, but yeah, that one's pretty good. I'd certainly recommend, and it's also only for SOL stuff right now.
Gotcha. So like Bullx doesn't like do that within its own like interface.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't have that feature yet. It does have like it'll show like the dev wallet and like when it sells and buys, and it'll show like insider wallets, so like people who like transferred coins to like a fresh wallet.
It does do like a very base level. It'll show you like before you trade, it'll show the percent in the dev's wallet. Of course, it's not counting for the obfuscation that Jake was just talking about, but I think it marks like 10 to 19% as like a caution, like a yellow caution, and if it's above 20%, it's like a red fucking warning that like pops up before you can trade it. It's like, hey, yo, shows up. I think it actually shows the top 10 holders or something like that. But it tries, but I don't think it's digging deep enough like Jake's talking about the other bot doing.
Cool. That's great context.
Yes, sir. Great questions.
Sweet. Well, yeah. Open it up. Yeah, if anybody has any other questions, these are great. We can keep them going, ApeChain or otherwise. Cool.
You got anything else, THC, on your end?
All good here, brother. Yeah, this was. I can't believe that I just was asleep at the wheel on this ApeChain stuff. But appreciate your very thorough breakdown and walkthrough. Just doing a little bit of Googling around and seeing some crazy success posts from people that cooked off Curtis. So happy to hear that, like always, the HQ was in the action, in the trenches, and taking part. I guess 2 things for MVHQ. We do have 2 missions that went live. Some pretty good partners. We got Pizza Pets, which is live now. That's the Pizza Ninjas Tamagotchi Companion Mint coming soon. And then we also have Intro to Abstract, which is a testnet mission for the Abstract chain. You guys might have remember Frame. We talked to Saigar when he came in here about his chain. They were sort of acquired and rebranded into Abstract. So a lot of pudgy connection there, and the test net is integrated into our app. So there you have it. I'm also seeing I did the little drop down, and I see Curtis chain on here. I don't know if that's a leak. I might need to hush up, but it's visible on the site. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled. Pay attention to our socials and the app. Because you're not going to miss any of these missions as they ramp up here.
Curtis chain.
Yes, sir. I see a little Curtis button.
Might be a mistake, but I'll ask the team. We're gonna meet up soon here anyway.
Yeah, awesome updates. I did have one other thing before we wrap it up here. I just kind of wanted to touch on, in case it's helpful for anyone else. I just want to touch on like my personal, like how I'm changing a bit my strategy now that I think we're kind of in an uptrend and we're entering kind of like bull season. Obviously, if you don't think that, or if you want to wait a bit, like until you're, until you get like more confirmation that we truly are, that's totally fine. That's your own style and opinion. That's cool. But I just want to share what I'm doing at least, and kind of just some notes from like last bull trend on like things I learned, things I did poorly. I think one of the main points is liquidity is king. In a bull trend, like having funds available, in order to make a play. Like when there's a bull trend, there's just so many more opportunities out there, like on a daily basis, that you wanna have, or at least I want to have, funds that are ready to go that aren't already invested in like an other play, where I can like very quickly act upon something if something does come up, and I think it's easier than ever to do that, because it doesn't matter as much what chain you have those funds on, because you can bridge, like especially with like stuff like I like dbridge the most because it's instant basically, from chain to chain, especially like Sol to ETH or like NEL2 or whatever, as long as it supports it. You could also you can basically bridge like right away, and get your funds from like Sol to ETH instantly. But just having like funds in Sol or funds in ETH, or if you just want to stable up, whatever, that's fine too. But just funds available, not always like deployed on everything. Like that's certainly something I have struggled with in the past. Like I always want like my like capital to work for me. So it's hard to like just like keep some kind of just like steady and not deployed on some everything at one time. But I think things to help with that is like having a certain amount. As I've said in the past, like having a set amount that you use on every play and like sticking to that, like a fixed amount. That way, like you won't like overdo it and just like use all your liquid on a single play. Like you'll just cap yourself right at whatever that set amount is on the play, and then you'll still have whatever liquid ready to go if something new pops up for you. So I'm like mainly saying that like to tell myself that, because that's certainly a struggle I've had. Because look, there's just so many plays, right? And kind of just along that regard is don't succumb to FOMO. Like try and really fight that feeling, because it can be a really strong feeling during the bull market when you see other people winning. Right, you see coins run up a ton. Maybe you saw the coin, but like you couldn't make the play at the time, and you're like, "Damn it! Like I missed out." Just really, really, I'd say try to fight that feeling that you get. Try and like recognize it when you're feeling it, and then take a step back and like analyze the situation with a level head, because I think that's where emotions come into trading and can kind of overtake reason. Just play the play based on like where you are now, and like analyze the situation not from like when the coin was a fifth of the price of what it is now. Think about what it is at the price now of your entry. Like, does the risk return on that play still make sense at this current entry as it did maybe you first heard about it like and at 5x from there, right? Maybe it just doesn't make as much sense as a play now. Or maybe you think it's still good, but it just ran up a ton there likely could be a dip that you can get in on, right? And then also like chasing betas of the play, like if you missed GOAT or whatever, chasing all these AI plays, even though they've actually done surprisingly well. But a lot have done really well and then dumped a ton as well. They've been hyper volatile. But like chasing betas that have worse risk return than just like whatever the alpha is, and whatever the meta that we're talking about. So I think just understanding, especially in the bull trend, again, there's going to be plays likely on a daily basis, and there's always going to be another play, right? So JJ, as he always says, eyes forward. Don't worry too much about missing something because there's going to be another one. Just try and like keep that FOMO contained and act with logic and reason when you are making trades.
Did you see that crazy dip on GOAT yesterday? Everybody thought it was over. GOAT dipped to like 150 million or something, and then just fucking rocketed back to 450.
Yeah, I saw people talking about how wow, it's going crazy, isn't it? Yeah, I saw people were panicking a bit because they thought it was like it was just some guy scheduling tweets instead of the AI tweeting it, which I think is probably true. It probably is just some guy scheduling the tweets. He already said he has to manually approve them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't really know how much it affects the narrative. I've almost like kind of two down GOAT because I'm a little salty about it.
Same.
I was selling too early.
Bro, if you're salty,
and it feels really frothy, the AI stuff right now, but maybe it gets even crazier. We'll see.
I was hoping it dies so other metas could pop up again, but it looks like we're going for a little while longer.
I love fight the FOMO as just like a motto or a mantra. Might have to spin that up in our next merch line. Fight the FOMO goes pretty hard.
That'd be nice as merch.
Yeah, man, it can be tough. I still, even though I like try to keep reminding myself, I still succumb to it. It's like a pretty overwhelming feeling sometimes.
Yeah, it is. It's hard. You just got to keep reminding yourself of your rules and just remember that it's all about averages. And at the end, if you stick to your rules, even if you sold too early sometimes, or you sold like you held and you round tripped or whatever, it's gonna happen. Everything's gonna happen. You know what I mean? It just you gotta just stay in your lane and make sure you're always learning, even though it'll never be perfect. Even though you like, let's say you act on your rules, all of a sudden you sell. You're like, oh, nice, cool, I made a lot of money, and then it does another 10x. Too bad. Move on to the next one. You'll have another at bat. You'll have another chance to make money. There's just so much opportunity. Just don't fall into the FOMO. That's all it is. It's all about not feeling it.
Yeah, when Jinzo appears in chat and it's like, everyone go look at the GOAT chart. It's up 5x today. You got to fight that FOMO. It's a good example.
I hate GOAT, bro. If you're going to hear me say anything, it's fucking GOAT. I sold it at 7 million, bro. Okay. So I'm not going to bull post GOAT ever. Forget it.
See, that's the next stage of this. It's fight the FOMO, and then it's FUD the FOMO.
Exactly. Cope. Just cope. Cope every day.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Wake and Cope. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah, that's all I had for today. Any of you guys out there have anything you want to talk about? Anything we missed that's important?
All good on my end, brother. I'm feeling thoroughly educated after this session, but happy to hear from our live audience.
I think ApeChain also has, like, I've been digging more into the apps and stuff, just to backtrack to ApeChain. I think it has some like play to earn games and stuff on it too now. The Pixel Vault game is on there. The Chimpers game is on there now too. And I think it all works with tokens from Ape itself that they integrated into their own games. We're gonna have to dig into that more, but it looks like they're gonna make it a big, like, now they started with the shitcoin focus, I guess, to bring people in, but it looks like the play to earn gaming is going to be a big part of their chain, which was already obvious with other side coming out and stuff. But I think they're bringing other games from other people onto the chain too.
Yeah, good shout. I hadn't seen that. The big thing that they've been highlighting is the Top Trader like trade simulator, which is basically like using like trading on leverage like 100x or more in like simulations, and it's like competition to see who can like rack up the biggest amount. And then they pay out like ApeCoin. Basically, it's like a 10 Ape entry fee, and you can kind of enter as much as you want. And and then they pay out like I think the winner gets like half of whatever the pool is, and then they pay out like the next, I don't know, like 50 or 60 slots in ApeCoin too. So I think it was actually kind of cool, like looking, but it didn't work very well for me. I guess it worked fine for some people, but it was bugging out for me. I wouldn't get my trades through. But I thought it was at least an interesting concept. If you want, I don't know. I don't really know how, I guess educational it is to like just trade on 100x leverage, but it was at least interesting. I hadn't seen it before.
Cap says 100 to 1000x. That's like one little move and you're dead.
Yeah, Cap said mobile worked. Yeah, mobile did work for me too, but the desktop wasn't working very well. Sick. Well, if you guys don't have anything else, we can wrap it up there. Obviously, keep chilling in BC, but as far as the show goes, that's all I had.
Yes, sir. Sounds good to me. Yeah, appreciate everybody rolling through for yet another episode of Wake and Jake. As always, we're going to have Boss Dogs later today. And then, we got this full slate of media offerings. So check events tab, keep up with the calendar if you don't want to miss any of these shows. But yeah, we'll definitely hang out in here for a little bit more, and we'll see you guys around the rest of the week. Until next time.
Peace. Thank you, boys.
Thanks, y'all.